500 feet, turn left onto South Main Street. Now turn left onto South Main Street.
When you've listened to 30 pairs of headphones and you know the nuanced differences between them, it's easy to like evaluate in that way.
I know what I like. You know, there's that too.
Yeah.
There's some personal.
But I think there's a lot of people shopping for headphones that are just like, all right, I'm gonna fly with these, so I need step 1 good build, step 2 good battery, step 3 good noise cancellation, and as long as they sound pretty good, I'm happy.
And that is kind of the 70s. You're right. But the 70s like $500 or $600.
Yeah, they're now.
They've gone up, but they're not that high. I think they're under 4 still. I think they're under 4.
I still think getting the older versions is a better deal, but
I agree with that. Yeah. But they stopped folding for some reason for the last gen, and I hated that. 460. What? The Mark 60s are...
Yeah, remember they went up.
You see what I'm saying?
They went up in price this year.
Like
yeah.
460.
Yeah, they're hella expensive.
For headphones that sound like the music is coming out of a bee's hole.
I remember when they were like 330, then they were 350.
For that.
That is not what they sound like.
They don't sound that bad.
That's like that engine.
460.
Yeah, I'm just like...
Next up, Suckers.
Yeah, that's what the Sony sound like. No, they don't.
They do not sound that bad. They sound pretty good.
I guarantee someone is listening to this podcast on a pair of Sonys, they're gonna be like, I can't hear the difference. That's just what. Wait, that just sounds like what it sounds like all the time.
Oh my god, you were so hard on these.
I did forget that they were 460. I thought they were more because
they raised
again,
the price.
The AirPods Max are like 550, and they don't lose the price. And then all the others start to creep up in price because they're all competing. And then Apple comes out and seems to enable $500 headphones. So now the 350 ones are 400 and 450. So it's all creeping up, which is valid that the Nothing headphones are only 300. That's really nice. But yeah.
Well, and the headphones A are $199.
Yeah. And
we gotta see how they sound.
It's hard for me to tell exactly from the website, but it seems like you can bypass a bunch of the digital stuff with the 3.5 millimeter connection, which is something that a lot of headphones actually can't do anymore.
I just want to say, if you want to yell, at Ellis Rovin on X.
I'm so sorry.
No, look.
I'm like genuinely so sorry if I offended you and you like the Sonys. Like, I do really believe like the best headphones are the ones that you like. They're the one that's so true for headphones and earbuds. It's like the best
camera.
Don't let anyone tell you that the ones that you like are bad.
You just did.
I personally just feel like you're missing.
However,
went on a rant about them.
they sound like a bee's.
Quotes. But if they sold them for $100, I'd be like, that's amazing. You have to go buy these. These are the best ones. But it's like
I will say I'm on a lot of flights, and I tend to like look around and notice all the headphones people are wearing, and there's first of all tons and tons of AirPods, and I know they're $500 headphones, and I'm always amazed at how many AirPods there are, and maybe that's because I'm flying out of Newark. But then too, there's a ton of Bose and Sony, and I know they're not the Bose especially. It's like I know they're not the best sounding, but they sell them in the airport vending machine, and they're designed to be for flights. And they have tons of ANC, and they have the adapter in the box. And
apparently, the newest ones actually sound pretty good.
Yeah. Bose is a historic, Bose is an R&D company first.
I know.
What I mean, like they put a lot of effort into this.
But like the old Quiet Comforts had pretty ass audio quality with just really good ANC.
Yeah, but were they B's ass audio quality?
I don't know if I can co-sign that statement. You know, there's
I'm a normie.
There's a funny thing in audio where like the Mimi bell curve with like the angry dumb guy on one side and the angry genius guy on the other side, and like
it's with everything.
Well, no, but with headphones, it's like I don't know anything about audio. Blah, blah, use AirPods, and then you have everyone arguing in the middle about what's best, and then like everyone I know who's like a super esteemed, knowledgeable audio engineer, like super techie, really knows their stuff. it's AirPods.
Yeah,
it's like,
for
and
sure.
they wouldn't even consider using anything.
No, it's the same in pretty much everything. In note-taking apps, it's the same with photos. I'll have people that are like, "Oh, look at this awesome picture," and it's like the worst picture I've ever seen. Like the HDR is just like, bleh.
Did you shoot this from a bee's? What is this?
It sounds because it sounds like the sound is coming out of a really skinny tube. That's what I was trying to.
In
I
1
was just
mile,
saying.
keep
can't
left
wait
to
for the
stay
new
on
merch.
Pleasant Street.
Bees sold the area under the curve of people that really like ass is high as.
It is. That's a fact. That should be a
I'm
shirt.
gonna understand what you just said because it's getting bleeped entirely.
I'm gonna leave whole so people know.
All of the most, but you're right, every category, all of the most mid products in the middle are all fighting each other, and then the just like thoughtless product on each end is probably the one most people should get.
Yeah.
And that's fine, 'cause
Yes.
you don't want to think about it.
Yes.
Alice is just saying that thoughtless product on each end should be the nothing headphones.
No.
Carl, I will clip that.
I'm saying, Carl. You know, I got over there right where Andrew's sitting, and did not give you a fair shot, and I apologize, and I have since.
I still
come
don't think they sound very
You-
good.
But it's a great. It fits into the product lineup really well at a competitive price with competitive offerings. I don't know about all that. You got to use the app stuff. But
Okay, the new Nothing Headphones A, it
Now
looks like you have a
left to
pair of
stay on Pleasant
AirPods that
Street.
are glued to the side of a square.
It would be sick if you could pull a pair of earbuds out of that.
That would be cool. That's what they look like, except they're
Yeah,
yellow.
dog.
All this to say, we should get these here, we should listen to them, we
Yeah.
should put them on Ellis's head and have him live react to them.
yes.
Should see if we can get 135 hours of listening.
Yeah.
I want to try them because I want to see how often people stare at me with them, and then just take them off and don't want to be the person being stared at anymore.
Yeah, they're $100 cheaper. I don't know if they sold that.
Yeah, 200.
Somewhere in there we did mention
made
it, but
Yeah.
probably got lost.
All right.
All right, well, we do have a little bit more to talk about after the break, so before that break, trivia.
I feel like nothing's design team simultaneously cooked and like.
Got cooked?
Okay,
Yeah.
question 2. Speaking of nothing, the first video ever uploaded to Nothing's YouTube channel was uploaded when? Closest without going over.
Wasn't it just like a prank?
It was a
mantis?
hype video.
Yeah, it was definitely
Like a ladybug and
I
a
think it was
praying mantis.
It was like 8 to 12 months
Well,
before they launched their first product.
What it was, irrelevant. When it was, relevant.
Is this the closest delta or closest
No,
without?
closest without going over.
We'll brainstorm that a little bit. We'll be right back.
In 1 mile, bear left to stay on Pleasant Street.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidate seen. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
After decapitation strikes against Iran's leadership, what can we expect next in the escalating war?
The big question is, if there is going to be a next strongman in Iran, what kind of strongman will that person likely be? I don't think that there's going to be another powerful cleric, supreme leader.
I'm John Feiner.
And I'm Jake Sullivan, and we're the hosts of The Long Game, a weekly national security podcast.
This week we sit down with Kareem Sajapour to discuss what to expect in this next phase of the war against Iran.
The episode's out now. Search for and follow The Long Game wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, welcome back. Really quick here because we spent a really long time talking about bees there.
I got bees.
Yeah, we've talked multiple times about how like AI overviews and whatever are going to really screw up page views and journalists getting paid and reviewers getting paid, and we saw that happen this week with the website Ratings, or Rtings is how it's spelled out, but they had to kind of make a huge change to their website.
Now bear left to stay on
They're known
Pleasant
for doing
Street.
super in-depth reviews on a lot of things, tech included, one of the largest, but
like so in depth that when you're shopping for a printer, you can compare printers by cost per page, or like pages per hour, or cost per hour at max flow. You know, like
yeah,
like they're the ones.
Yeah, it's deep, and it's like they're doing it with different equipment on a lot of different things to be able to test these. So that obviously costs money, but previously it was free, and now they had to make a pretty large change to make the full in-depth reviews of everything behind the
They're
paywall.
right onto Main Street.
It is now $10 a month or $45 a year. But the most interesting thing about this announcement was a section of their release saying why we're making this change. It says, Ratings.com has historically relied heavily on organic search traffic from Google and affiliate links. That model is becoming less reliable. Fewer people click through Google organic results than they used to. At the same time, AI actively scrapes and reuses our test results, often without attribution and without the context needed to interpret them correctly. That's like a huge thing by itself, interpreting things correctly.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, performing lab-based and in-depth testing is expensive. We buy every product ourselves like normal consumers, no paid or sponsored reviews, test them using standardized, repeatable methods, and publish the full test results transparently. A membership-supported model reduces our dependency on Google, limits unrestricted AI scraping for our test results, and gives us incentives that are more sustainable and aligned with our customers.
Right to take
So
River Street.
this sucks, but is necessary, I guess is the easiest way of putting it. It stinks for all the people who want to just go to their website and support
keep
them,
right
but
to
also
take River Street.
I don't know, not many people are going to pay $10 to just go for a month or pay $45 a year for a reviewing website, because you don't buy things that often. Lots of times you're just like in the pinch of comparing things and want to go check it.
Yeah.
So this is a tough look.
This is part of the inevitable death of SEO and the web. I mean, every website for the longest time, Adam and I used to work at Android Authority, and we were privy to a lot of the SEO bullshit that the people would have to talk about all the time. And it basically equated to Google makes all of these changes constantly that you have to adapt to. Oftentimes when you're adapting to it, making these changes makes your website worse, but if you don't, then Google will derank your website because you're
In 500
optimizing the way you
feet,
show up.
bear right to stay on River
And with the
Street.
speed of which this stuff is changing, especially with AI overviews and all of this stuff, now you have the additional
bear
factor
right to
of
stay
having to
on
like,
River
adapt
Street.
to what the AI overview shows. If it chooses your website to show in the AI overview, if it chooses you to show in Gemini when Gemini gives sources and stuff like that. And I mean, there's a reason a lot of websites are moving to paid. The Verge moved to paid about a year ago. That was a pretty major change. It made their web traffic really sink a lot, but they are making a lot more money on subscriptions. I just think the entire internet is moving more towards direct to creator payments because SEO is just kind of dying very rapidly.
Yeah. So I think I'm like thinking out loud here. I think this is my real beef with AI overviews. I know Ellis like it's the accuracy, and there's a bunch of other things that are wrong about it. But I think it's because it so fundamentally removes the incentives to make good stuff, right? So before, and there's the ratings video kind of illustrates this perfectly. But like when you make good stuff and you optimize for people to find that good stuff, Google and all the search engines, when people are in the buying process, will funnel those people to find your stuff.
Yeah.
And so you make the stuff because people find it and you get paid from the ads and the cycle continues. So you're incentivized to make good stuff so that more people find it. Now you make good stuff, that stuff gets scraped by AI overview, and when people start to go through that buying process, they find the AI overview and they never find your stuff. So the only incentive you have to make good stuff is to be the source for the AI overview to be good, and you don't get any credit for that. And you don't get paid for that.
Yeah.
So the incentive is effectively gone.
Yeah.
So think about that. The incentive to make good stuff is gone. Now, why would you make any more stuff? It's almost like we've decided, all right, the entire corpus of human knowledge is complete. We need nothing more to be new. We will just be trained on the old stuff. That's a bummer.
This is a concern that we talked about at the very beginning of this. We literally said, what happens when there is no incentive to go to a website because the answers are all on Google? And like, why would you make content if people are not going to go to your page and you can't get paid for it? And then the AI has nothing to grab from. Like that is the question that we asked 3 years ago, and now it's actually hitting websites really hard.
Yeah, so we're seeing like the Verge and ratings and like adding membership programs because there are still enthusiasts willing to support the creation of good stuff, and the membership program is maybe the most ideal way to do that. I subscribe to the Verge. I read a lot of these things, but it's often like Wirecutter, for example, I brought up earlier or off camera, but like when I'm about to buy a blender and I'm doing my 6 hours of way too much research to buy the perfect blender, that's when I'm deep in the ratings and the Wirecutter and the Verge and reading blender reviews.
Yeah.
And then once that's over, I'm not going to read another blender review for years. That stuff, I'm not going to do that. So it's hard to get people to support and to, spend regularly on something when it seems like there's the incentives now.
This is specifically hard because I don't think a lot of people are reading ratings for fun. Like, we are part entertainment, right? So like, people see our reviews, but we're also entertainment. So that's not getting hit as hard. But like, this kind of stuff that is just like numbers and what prints per minute, or Marquez's smoothies per hour in his blender, like,
huge.
This is not the stuff you read for fun. This is the stuff you read for a purpose. And when you don't have that purpose, it's really hard to pay monthly or yearly on it. Even though, I don't know, if you were like buying a new house and equipping it for the next year, maybe it's $45 for the year wouldn't be bad. But that's not a great business model to be like, cool, every time someone buys a house, we'll get 1 year of a subscription. So this, I feel bad for ratings. This is
For
just
sure.
absolutely probably tanking.
It's very tough for stuff like this. There's an interesting graph and also a chart, as Marquez like to call out, that shows the decline of peak traffic on tech websites year over year, and it's pretty nasty. Like, all of these numbers are really high.
It's not that only a 1 year graph.
2024, to now, I guess.
Year and a half.
Year and a half. So March 2024, Digital Trends got 8.5 million peak traffic. January 26th, they got 264,000. That's a decline of 97%.
That was a rounding error in the previous number. Their entire traffic is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, this is going to decimate websites on the internet, because the same way that Facebook video, when it decided to not be a thing anymore, like ruined BuzzFeed, basically.
Yeah.
This is what Google SEO is doing to all the internets that have built businesses being the source of information.
Well, and what's crazy is, like, I think a lot of these websites, like Google, services like Google, they just sort of think social media is free information, and I think in their head, if you take the average of all information about one topic, you get closer to a source of truth, right? Because there's signal to noise. Hopefully you have more signal than you have noise. And if you take a billion sources, hopefully you have the right data. And I think all of these services and websites are just kind of like, why do we have to pay websites when, social media is free, like, quote unquote, journalism or information, and you can just theoretically get closer to a source of truth. But that really it destroys the internet as we know it currently. So it's not good.
Talk doesn't give good information for the most part.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a reason why there are certain trusted sources, because they have processes in place that will take away the noise.
I agree with you, but I think that they just think that on a numbers basis, if you have 1 billion people talking about a thing, the average is always higher to truth. That's exactly what Polymarket's like. All of these guys, they say like, oh, we can predict what's going to happen because people are putting their money towards this thing because this many people think it'll happen, and that means it will probably happen. I don't know if that's true or not. There's a zillion problems with that, but either way.
The average number of arms per human is less than 2. That's taking all the data about all humans ever. The average number. Just saying. Sometimes that logic can be flawed.
I just don't think.
That was a fire example.
Just saying.
They don't all just think hard enough about stuff like this because they just want to get their.
I disagree. I think they know.
I think they
don't
know,
care.
dude.
I think at a certain point, though, this is going to screw themselves when their AI can't scrape things anymore because no one can get paid to make
everyone is making stuff all the time for free on social media.
I guess, but now that level of what we get is worse, and then and then it just all turns into nothing when the free stuff that's being made doesn't mean anything.
Nothing was the last segment. We're on
I just remember we talked to somebody who made an AI product. I won't name them, but we brought this up to him, and he said, I don't think you guys should have any worries. You make really good stuff. And I was like, I'm not talking about us.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like these people, the people who are doing the in-depth web text-based reviews and like that. And it felt like he'd never heard that before.
Yeah.
It's gone. This stuff is going to be gone.
This feels similar. I went to ClawCon last night. You know CloudBot? We talked about CloudBot.
OpenClaw.
OpenClaw, sorry. Remember OpenClaw?
Yeah. I went
Is that
to
the one where everyone dresses up as Santa and like goes around the city?
I thought that was
Somehow worse.
Somehow worse. Everybody did have